I've been waiting my whole life for this one. Orthopedic surgeon and husband for the View host, Sonny Hostin, has been named in a federal lawsuit alleging insurance fraud.
I agree with mostly everything that's been said. I mean, we know that, only about 31% of Americans trust our healthcare system. We have a terrible healthcare system. And, doctors suffer because of big corporations as well. Doctors that want to do good, like my husband, operates on someone even though they don't have insurance.
People have to wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions? Yeah. Like you said, and it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say in The View, because without it, she's got nothing.
Karma's knockout Arma didn't just tap Sunny Hostin on the shoulder. It slammed down her mansion door wearing steel-toed boots, with Tyrus and Greg Gutfeld riding shotgun and sarcasm loaded like a shotgun shell. Imagine this. 1 minute, you're preaching ethics on national TV. The next, your husband detonates a financial nuke worth $450 million, and your reputation gets suplexed in primetime by two men whose wit should be regulated by the FCC. This isn't just a takedown, it's a full roast, slow-cooked with irony and marinated in public embarrassment. Gutfeld delivers sarcasm sharper than a sushi chef's blade, while Tyrus drops truth bombs like they're buy one get one free. And Sunny? She's the main course in what might be the most humiliating buffet in television history. Strap in, because this isn't a meltdown. It's a roast so intense, it made Wi-Fi signals shiver.
She is not implicated in the lawsuit at all, but it's just, you're married, Tom, you're married. If your husband's doing something, if he's allegedly doing something like this, you guys would know if your wives were up to some nefarious stuff. Let's just not forget who she is. She's been, for years, lecturing America about morality, inequality, systemic failures, and look at her track record. How many times does she have to go on in the past 2 months and look at the camera and do a legal apology for all the stuff that she said on the show?
In the criminal case now, the prosecutors are like, oh, really? Well, how about we add some additional fraud charges onto you? And they're talking about threatening him with insurance fraud, which I would say you could get about 20 years in prison. So that's a death sentence.
The moral blazer, picture yourself in a $5,000 Hermes chair, equal parts torture device and design statement. Sipping hand-churned oat milk brewed by blindfolded monks in Brooklyn. Suddenly, your inbox explodes. Not with praise, but with lawsuits. Normal people panic. Not Sunny. She zips up her moral superiority blazer, mounts her ethical high horse, and gallops onto national TV to scold the planet like we all just forgot to compost. No apology, no humility. Just righteous indignation topped with whipped irony. She lectures like she's Aristotle, but her life reads more like a rejected Netflix dramedy titled, Clueless but Condescending. If this was satire, it would win an Emmy. But it's not. It's real. It's rich. And it's about to get torched.
Their brains are small. But who's the dumbest one of all? True, none of them are in Mensa, but who's the most densa? Perhaps it's Sunny who mastered the art of making idiots look smart. Now The View could ask a mirror who's the dumbest one of all, but there's no way that glass doesn't...
Dumbest reflection mirror on the wall. Who's the most clueless of them all? Sure, The View isn't exactly hosting Ivy League debates, but Sunny Hostin just redefined self-inflicted irony. While pretending to be the queen of woke, she missed the financial apocalypse growing in her own living room. Imagine being so smug, you could out-lecture a professor, while your own husband is burning $450 million faster than Elon Musk tweets. Sunny's glare could vaporize potholes, yet somehow she never blinked at the mushroom cloud brewing in her backyard. Welcome to the week where her moral fortress turned into a circus tent, with Gutfeld and Tyrus juggling flaming truth grenades. The media elite just took a pie to the face, and it was homemade by karma itself.
Problem is that you have to go after the racist people. And if the CEO goes, you know what, I'm not going to allow a woman on my show or man that will go after white America and talk about them like dogs. That doesn't represent our ideals or values for anyone. And get rid of those people, and this will clear up real quick. So do you have to actually look in the mirror and clean up your own backyard and get the racist people out? Because that's who you allowed in. You allowed black racists on TV who could just go all day and say anything about white people. And I guess lo and behold, they forgot that there's a lot of people at home, white people at home during the day that are not watching your show anymore. So just clean it up.
Yeah, Emily...
When Reality Strikes Back Heil Sunny was busy airbrushing society with smug hashtags and indignation filters. Her husband was pulling off the financial version of How to Lose $500 million in 10 Days. You can't make this up. As she monologued about justice, equity, and whatever moral bandwagon she was riding that week, a $450 million lawsuit was tap-dancing through her house like a debt-fueled Cirque du Soleil. It's almost poetic. The louder she preached, the faster the wrecking ball swung. And when it landed, it wasn't just a scandal. It was a punchline with a platinum credit limit.
So that makes Sunny Hostin, who thinks climate change caused the solar eclipse, the dumbest of them all. Because everyone knows the moon caused the eclipse, which is controlled by the View's gravitational pull. All right, Kat, did you ever see such a group? It's amazing how Joy and Whoopi became the smart ones.
Solar eclipse of the brain. Unnie once suggested climate change caused a solar eclipse. So yeah, science might not be her thing. But this time, her family caused something far scarier than celestial confusion. A $450 million courtroom supernova. Most people would lie low after a financial Hiroshima. Sunny. She marched back onto The View like she'd just cured hypocrisy. And right on cue, the comedy god summoned two human wrecking balls, Greg Gutfeld and Tyrus. Greg didn't need a mic drop. He raised one eyebrow and the sarcasm tsunami hit. He compared her lectures on ethics to being coached on fidelity by the cast of Jersey Shore. And for once, even Whoopi looked like the smart one.
It's not even that. In The View, you don't need to find Trumpers. You need to fire your race baiters.
Yeah.
You need to fire the two races. You've had people. You had a McCain on there. You've had people on there before, and you ran them off. Mm-hmm. So the racist ones who want to stick to this, Whoopi and Sunny, and was it Bette Midler? What's her name?
Joy.
Broke-ass Bette Midler. Fire them and bring people in. Maybe you could get McCain to come back. She was a Republican, but every show and every break, she was nearly in tears because she was being...
Champagne and Chick-fil-A Reg's takedown was so precise, it needed a Surgeon General's warning. He described Sunny sipping champagne on air while her family's finances were being blended into bankruptcy puree. If hypocrisy had a theme song, Sunny would be twerking to it in a feather boa. Reddit went wild. Twitter exploded. Memes of Sunny reading Bankruptcy for Dummies, while scolding the public flooded the timeline. But just as the laughter started to fade, in came Tyrus, the wrecking ball with wisdom. He didn't shout. He didn't flail. He just dropped words so heavy, they cracked the set floor. His question cut like a laser. How do you moralize from a pedestal that's literally crumbling beneath you?
Hostin's obsession with race gets thrown back in her face. Today's video comes to us from Sunny Hostin. Sounds like a town. We're in sunny Hostin. She was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. For context, Sunny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice. Well, turns out she's not as oppressed as she claims she is. She's actually the descendant of slave owners from Europe. And it is funny. She's so wrapped up in identity, and she had no idea who she was.
The fall of brand Sunny Iris didn't just speak. He performed an intellectual autopsy. Sunny, he said, wasn't just out of touch. She was elite cluelessness personified. She spent years branding herself as the voice of moral authority. Turns out, that brand was built on sand and borrowed money. It wasn't just a financial disaster. It was a narrative collapse. Greg played the satirical violin while Tyrus demolished the foundation. The View, they claimed, has become performance art. A theatrical tragedy where accountability is just a prop. On one screen, Sunny's polished lectures. On the other, a $450 million warning sign. Public trust. Torched. Credibility. Evaporated. Sunny's House of Virtue just got repoed.
Sausage maker Johnsonville is recalling more than 42,000 pounds of pork sausage for possible contamination with plastic fibers. Fortunately, authorities were able to track all 42,000 pounds to a single location in New York City.
Denial in designer dresses. Oh, how did The View respond? With pearls, denial, and a masterclass in missing the point. No reflection. No humility. Just more performative outrage in glittery packaging. One panelist even blamed the criticism on sexism, because apparently when your spouse bankrupts the family, Calling it out is misogynistic. Meanwhile, Gutfeld cracked wise about Sonny starring in Ocean's 1, Financial Crimes Edition, and Tyrus asked the real question. If your own house is made of bounce checks and IOUs, maybe stop throwing stones from it. The internet erupted. Memes reigned. GoFundMe links became punchlines. And the once mighty View? It started to look like community theater with a daytime Emmy budget.
Sonny gets the game ball. If it wasn't for her, asking that question, it might have been a closer election. But when oh no, nothing really comes to mind, I was like, ching. Listen, they're bitter, they're angry, they're entitled. They also should be. This should have been a reset for everyone who pushed lies and misinformation for the last. They called him Hitler. They call these things. America rejected them, and instead of coming back and saying we lied, they instead are now doubling down. So let her keep doing it, because if she keeps that up, we're going to keep getting the Senate and probably the House and the White House, because people see right through your lies. So keep doing what you're doing. Game ball.
The broken mask wasn't just about one woman. It was about the entire illusion. The media elite's moral superiority just tripped over its own Gucci loafers. And it didn't take an expose. It took two guys with a mic and no patience for pretense. Sonny didn't respond with grace. She doubled down, turned up the volume, and kept wagging her finger. But now, every monologue has subtitles. Silent, invisible, and brutal. They read, "This judgment is brought to you by someone whose finances just rage quit." Greg moved on with a smirk. Tyrus leaned back, calm and prophetic. And Sonny, still there. Still judging. Only now, even the applause sounds nervous.
Tell the audience that she tips big because even she knows she sounds insufferable. Hey, I'm but at least I tip. This dame probably virtue signals on the toilet. But that's not the point here. While everybody else was trying to figure out how to survive as the government told us that breathing in public could kill us, Sonny was lolling around in her big house clicking on pictures of arugula while mixing Cocoa Puffs into her Haagen-Dazs. Oh, the oppression. I wonder if she wiped down the groceries herself or had her maid do it. She tips her too.
Sarcasm versus sanctimony. His wasn't just a roast. It was a televised dissection of elite media sanctimony. With sarcasm as the scalpel and irony as anesthesia, Greg and Tyrus opened up a genre. The finger-wagging class. The ones who scold by day and hide scandals by night. Sonny's husband didn't just lose money. He unlocked a portal to the hypocrisy multiverse. Greg framed it like an episode of Do As I Say, Not As I Bankrupt. Tyrus asked what happens when delusion meets privilege, and forgets to hire a lawyer. It was more than a roast. It was a reckoning. And as the ashes settle, one truth remains. When you build your reputation on condescension, karma doesn't knock. It performs stand-up in your living room.
Her a 10. I mean, how dare she objectify a woman with a sexist rating system, but it's such a typical thing from a 1.5.
Well said.
Hypocrisy isn't just unattractive. It's financially catastrophic. Try $500 million down the drain and a brand so humiliated it's become the butt of late-night punchlines. Karma, it turns out, isn't just poetic. It comes with an invoice. And as Sunny Hostin and her co-hosts on The View sip their morning coffee like it's sacramental wine, doling out moral judgments with the smugness of self-appointed saints, America is quietly backing away. Not because people have stopped caring about serious issues, but because they've stopped believing the messengers. Greg Gutfeld and Tyrus didn't just poke fun, they unleashed a full comedic autopsy. And what they uncovered was a rotting institution wrapped in self-righteousness, gasping for relevance. With razor-sharp humor and no mercy, they revealed a hard truth. Americans are desperate for authenticity. Not more curated outrage from TV hosts who would collapse under the weight of real scrutiny. That's why Gutfeld's show is climbing in ratings, while The View clings to relevance like a tattered flag in a credibility storm. Viewers aren't demanding perfection. They're demanding honesty. And they're tired of being lectured by people who couldn't balance a checkbook without a team of interns, a crisis PR firm, and a Google Calendar full of image rehab sessions. And The View? Once a space for passionate, diverse dialogue, where ideas could clash without cancellations, has now devolved into a bloated stage play where facts are optional, but moral outrage is mandatory. It's no longer a roundtable of debate. It's a sanctimonious group chat brought to life, with every episode trying to outpreach the last. The courtroom drama vibes are strong, but the evidence is weak. And the self-importance? Off the charts.
People have to wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions?
Yeah.
Like you said, it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say in The View, because without it, she's got nothing up there. She's not very bright. But the problem with her is that she went full racist. She injected skin color into a fairly generic behavior seen in all spouses, regardless of skin color. People marry, they listen to each other, they have something in common with them, they share their political views. She just didn't want to upset her husband by saying her husband makes her do everything, and then she'd have to accuse him of being a racist. Because if he told her that this is what white women do, then he's a racist. You see?
So when Greg and Tyrus took aim, they weren't just going after Sunny Hostin, they dismantled the entire act. The illusion of impartiality? Gone. The moral high ground? Demolished. And if Sunny wants to play the modern-day oracle of progressive virtue, she might want to check whether her sermon is echoing through a courtroom deposition. Let's recap the damage like it's a highlight reel from a financial Super Bowl. $450 million, poof. Vanished into the abyss of shady investments, vanity projects, and decisions that make a college freshman look like Warren Buffett. Sunny's public image? It cratered harder than daytime ratings post-Judge Judy. And while she scrambles for credibility, Greg and Tyrus are laughing like cartoon villains, soaking in a hot tub of Nielsen ratings and internet memes. But this wasn't just a roast, it was a slow, juicy takedown. They marinated her brand in sarcasm and irony until it fell apart like overcooked brisket. And now we're all witnessing the fallout in real time. While The View desperately tries to spin this PR implosion into a learning moment, the audience is already gone, replaced by popcorn-munching skeptics tuning in for the chaos, not the commentary. And let's be real, if Sunny's latest life lesson comes bundled with financial collapse and media embarrassment, is that wisdom? Or a warning label? The viewers who once listened now stare at the screen like they're watching a reality TV meltdown. And in a way, they are. It's the Real Housewives, Bankruptcy edition, with less glam, more lawsuits, and a lot more irony. To where does The View go from here? Can it recover from this moral nosedive? Or has it finally jumped the shark, wearing a glittery power suit and quoting Foucault while its audience quietly changes the channel? If moral authority in 2025 looks like half scandal, half lecture, and zero self-awareness, maybe it's time we demanded better. Because when your personal life is a financial wreckage zone and your professional brand is bleeding relevance, maybe it's not the public that needs a lesson, but the person holding the mic. One thing's certain, if you preach to millions, you better live like your sermon's on tape. Otherwise, Greg Gutfeld will torch your credibility, Tyrus will body slam your persona, and the internet? Oh, the internet will immortalize your downfall in memes that outlive your audience. The View may still be on the air, but the viewers aren't watching for enlightenment anymore. They're watching for the wreckage. And Sunny? She may still be called Sunny. But right now, that forecast looks cold, cloudy, and completely bankrupt, with a 100% chance of clapbacks.